we've got a vacant lightweight strap for the first time, and I don't know how long. We don't even have a clear interim champion while Habib's hurt or Ferguson's hurt or whoever's hurt. No, for the first time in forever, we just have a wide open vacant lightweight strap. A lot of people are talking about a tournament here. You've got Conor McGregor in the mix. You've got Dustin Poirier. You've got Michael Chandler. You've got possibilities for days. Tony Ferguson. Matt, if we're talking tourney, how many men and who do you want to see in it?
Oh, man. Let me tell you, if we're talking about a tournament in 2020 or in 2021 is when this would take place. In 2021's UFC, as unlikely as that is, I'll just say if you're going to do a tournament, of course you have to have the top 4 names in there. You got to have Gaethje, even though he's coming off the loss. He was the interim champion going to that fight. And apparently if you ask his manager, he's still the champion somehow, according to his tweet today, which doesn't make any sense in any reality. So obviously you have Justin Gaethje, you have Dustin Poirier, you have Tony Ferguson, you have Conor McGregor. If you want to do the top 4, right? If you want to make it 6, throw Michael Chandler, Dan Hooker in there. But I think it's going to be, if there's any hope of this ever being reality, it's going to be a 4-man thing. In the first 2 rounds would have to take place on the same night, with the next one being like on another pay-per-view the next month or the next couple of months down the road, whatever you want to do it. They will never go as crazy as they used to do it in a one-night tournament. Those days are long gone for the UFC, because they have to stretch their money out, man. They got to get people to buy pay-per-views. They're still in the hole. They gotta dig their ways out. So that's how I would do it if I was doing a tournament. It would be a 4-man bracket with Gaethje, Poirier, Ferguson, Conor.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, especially when you're looking at who. It's tough for me because I really want to see Michael Chandler in there. I also really want to see Charles Oliveira in there. I feel like people just keep forgetting about how dominant he looked. Right, he was on the first. I guess you want to say the first pandemic card, technically the last pandemic card, but the first where there was no audience, nothing else going on, and he's just looked like a monster. So I would love to see him in there. Why not make it? For me, why not make it a 6-man tourney with the 4 you mentioned? Add Oliveira, add Chandler. Oh, you know what? Screw it. Let's make it 8. Let's add Hooker, and then who's another good lightweight to end it there? I can't think of.
Paul Felder's right there.
Paul Felder is right there. There you go. There, 8-man, perfect. No, and we say it's 2021. UFC is not going to do this stuff. You are right in terms of they want to stretch this out. But let's not forget, not that long ago, Dana had said he was thinking about setting up some sort of tournament, right? When he was trying to get McGregor to come back and do all of that stuff and everything fell through. He had talked about setting up a tournament. Now, I think it's not going to be a tournament in one night or even having 2 tournament cards, or 2 tournament fights on the same card. I think it would be like headliner versus headliner, and they'd say, oh, this is for the tournament, so on and so forth. But I could see it happening now, especially given what's going on. I think it's more likely that they're just going to do Conor versus Dustin for the belt, because, of course, the promotion would love, from a business perspective, to have Conor have the belt again. But if they don't do that, it's a possibility. So we've talked about who we would see in our tourney brackets. Let's do this. Who makes it to the final first? Doesn't matter about the matchups. The matchups would come into play. But for yours, how about let's do this. For your 4-man, who would you match up and who makes it to the finals?
I would just go strictly by how the rankings are right now. So I would have Gaethje versus McGregor, 1 versus 4, Poirier versus Ferguson, 2 versus 3. And those are just 2 firefights right there. Like, it's picking a winner out of those is insane. I don't know, man. if the Gaethje that shows up against Khabib shows up against Conor, I'm picking Conor. So I would go with Conor, and then I would go with Poirier, and we end up with Conor versus Poirier anyways. So I mean, let's just skip the tournament thing because that's what the UFC is going to do anyways. That's how they're going to shake it out in the boardroom. Watch. They're going to sit around the table, be like, okay, what's this bracket going to look like? And then they're going to say exactly what I said. Oh, Conor's going to win, and then Dustin's going to win. And then we're back to where we were before we even had the idea of a tournament. So let's just do the thing that's more profitable right off the bat and put Conor in a title fight. And I think that's how we're going to end up.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's hard because we already know that Conor versus Poirier is booked. So, looking at this, I guess you could rematch Gaethje versus Ferguson, but that was not that long ago, and Gaethje put it on him. So it's kind of And so I mean, then you get to the if you don't do that matchup, who would you do on the other side of Conor versus Poirier? And I'd be inclined to go. If I guess Gaethje did have his crack at the belt, so maybe he sits out and then fights who eventually wins. So maybe you do Ferguson and let's say Charles Oliveira. That's a fight I would love to see. Or Ferguson versus Chandler. I think either way, Ferguson probably takes the win there, and then you end up with I'm gonna go Conor versus Poirier, although that's gonna be a great fun fight, ridiculous. And then you get Conor versus Tony, which is an amazing fight. But like you said, more than likely they're just going to skip all that and just throw the belt on that January card.
100%. 100%.
I mean, yeah. It's too likely. So if you're watching this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Tell us who you think should be in a tournament for 8-man. I'll review any and all brackets, tell you who I think I'd win, tell you if you're just way off or whatnot. But let's go one step further with this, and let's just go ahead and predict here. Who do you think the next lightweight champion in the UFC will be?
Wow. If I'm going off of what I think will happen, which is I think obviously it's going to be Conor versus Poirier. Man, I want to see Dustin win so bad. I really do. But I think I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough because like I've been going back and forth on who wins this fight, and Conor's been off for so long. Dustin's been active, and Dustin is always seemed to improve. But outside of the Khabib fight, Conor has looked really, really good, and of course the Mayweather fight. But we don't talk about that as real. Don't take that into consideration for anything. But yeah, I would probably lean Conor a little bit. And I hate saying that because I want Dustin to win. I want him to win that fight. I want my fellow Louisianan born to come home with the title. I want the belt to stay here in the U.S. as well. But I think if they rematch, man, it's just going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be tough to choose. Obviously, if you're a betting man, obviously the Conor fans are going to drive that line so far in his favor. Dustin's going to be a steal on the betting line. Check out our other videos about the betting lines that we have here on the channel. But yeah, I would probably slight lean Conor, man. Slight lean Conor. But again, if you tell me, if you come from the future and tell me Dustin Poirier is walking around with the title in 4 months' time, I would not be mad at that at all.
If you come from the future and tell me Dustin Poirier is walking around with the title, you best believe I'm betting the house on Dustin Poirier in January. But yeah, unless you're just an absolute dick time traveler, just messing with me, want me to go bankrupt. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you. Dustin has improved. He's looked better. His boxing, his skills are insane. From where he was even just 3 or 4 years ago to what he's become as a fighter is just unreal. It's great growth. You love to see it. But Conor's just got that skill where, again, outside of the Nurmagomedov loss, and even then he technically won a round, right? He was the first guy to give, at least on the judges' scorecards, was the first guy to give Khabib any trouble in terms of that.
And he didn't look like a panicked fish out there like Gaethje.
Right. No, he did not. He at least had a game plan. He stuck to it. It just and I think the big difference for me in this fight is that while I love Dustin and I want him to win, most of Dustin's knockouts are not from one hit shots. They are from rocking and then followed up by volume, right? It's possible that he lands a big shot, stuns Connor, and then is able to overwhelm him like that. But McGregor has got that power that just, puts your light out. And Dustin eats shots. Dustin eats a lot of shots, especially, in look at the Dan Hooker fight. Look at the Max Holloway fight. Dustin eats shots a lot. and I think that McGregor's power is still very much there. I think that advantage for McGregor is massive. And I think it's just going to take, I think it'll be a great fight for as long as it lasts. But I kind of imagine McGregor just landed a big shot that rocks Dustin, and that's the end of it. Game, set, match. So we'll see. I would love to be wrong, but that's how I'm picking it. Let us know in the comments who you think wins that fight. Again, who should be an attorney. Any other thoughts on this, Matt?
No, I mean, listen, it's a fun idea to have, and I just want everybody to know it's just a fantasy because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. At the end of the day, there's going to be a title fight booked between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, and that's the reality of the world that we live in when it comes to this promotion and how they need to extract as much money as possible from their viewing public. So it's going to be a title fight booked for Conor. Don't be upset when you hear it because that's what's happening.